Welcome everybody to Greater Life, Greater Impact. Lots going on here. I'm trying to admit people into the group and talk to you at the same time, but we have a lot of new faces today, and I think that's awesome. Thank you guys for inviting friends and family to the group. Hold on, I've got somebody go to the group chat for it. Okay. Yeah, we got people asking for the password. I didn't realize it was going to do that. All right. Today we're going to be talking about spiritual sovereignty and victim mentality. And this is kind of a problem. I think it's one of the main contributing factors to why people have such a hard time overcoming illness. Those of you who know what I do with quantum healing, I do work mostly with the physical body. And I am not hearing you guys. Hold on a second. Hey, Toby Lynn, will you speak into the mic and see if I can hear you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you. I just saw you at the top. Okay, so I can hear you. That's good. Those of you guys who are also not aware, if you would like a copy of the replay of this class, then you can also get it over on my website, which is janetthurgood.com/courses. Sometimes you'll have access to these individual recordings. Other times you may have to just purchase the year's worth of recordings. There's two options there. So you just have to go to courses and look, scroll through and see if you can find it'll tell you the date of the class, if it's a single class. If it is not there, if it's not listed there, then the only other place that you'll be able to find it is in purchasing the entire year's worth of class replays, which is the course called Manifesting Miracles and Healing the Past for the year 2022. And that's actually a really good deal. If you were to buy each individual class for $27 for the whole year, it would add up to be lots of money. So, and it's actually a really good deal to buy it as the replays for the whole year. Okay, hold on. We've still got people needing the password. So let me go grab that. Yeah, I don't know why that happened. So sorry about that, everybody. People are messaging me like crazy, needing the password. So I'm going to give that to them. All right. So let's jump into our conversation today. If you have a chance to go grab a pencil and a paper, you may want to go do that. Because this is gonna be interactive. You're going to have an opportunity to dig some stuff out of you guys and do some inner healing. Okay, I've got still people. Still people can't get in. Sorry about that. How frustrating for you if you're trying to get in and you can't. So maybe what I'll do is I will make this available as a replay, and then I'll just dump it into Greater Life, Greater Impact for you guys. In fact, what we're gonna do, have them go to Greater Life, Greater Impact inside of the group, and I will project it live. We're just gonna make it live right now. Live on Facebook. Here we go. All right, so grabbing a pencil and a paper. What I want you guys to do right now is everybody go ahead and get into your body. It's going to take a minute for that to take place. Drop down into the base of the spine, getting into your body. Take a breath or two, breathing in deeply. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Just pretend that you're dropping down deeper and deeper and deeper into your physical body. Take your awareness and go down there. If the base of the spine isn't deep enough, go all the way to under your feet. So the very first thing that we're going to do is get expansive. And this is a great thing. We're going to try this actually for Kim Church, who reached out and said that her little grandson is very sick and their family is exhausted. Let's do some practice work. So there is a new consciousness that is becoming contagious on the planet. Some of you have recognized it and noticed that, and others maybe not yet, and you're still waking up to it. But the person who struggles to get out of their ego and to disconnect, not disconnect, but to allow that ego to come into alignment with a higher version of themselves, how about we put it that way? They'll never be able to overcome this new earth that is emerging and that is awakening. And so with the knowing that there is a new earth awakening and emerging, if you're still clinging to the old patterns, the old paradigms, you're going to get wrecked. And you're going to have a very difficult time transcending and ascending into this newness, this new state of being. So, and that's difficult. So what I want for you to do is we're going to learn how to kind of let go of some of that stuff. We're going to learn how to drop into your body. We're going to learn how to find where you're storing many of these blockages that are hindering you from awakening completely and going into that state of spontaneous healing. So take your attention and your awareness, go inside your body. I really want you to just draw your focus and just go within to all aspects of the inner self. One of the best ways to do it is to find something to focus on in there. Oftentimes we're so busy focusing on our external world, we forget to go within. We don't know how to go within. So the best way I find is put something in there that you can pay attention to. I like using like a straight line or a beam of light or a rod going from the top of your head to the base of the spine and then maybe down the legs and out through your feet. That would be called your midline. It's your center. So when you drop down into your center and you start paying attention to that and you drop down deeper and deeper, the deeper you go, the deeper within you will go. So just pull your higher self in with the breath, using that breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe out, go ahead and just surrender and relax and let go. You may want to drop your shoulders. You may want to soften your face. You may want to just kind of relax any tension that you're noticing coming up in the gut, the shoulders, the face. Notice behind your eyes, the muscles that hold your eyeballs in. Usually we store tension in there. So go ahead and soften those. Let the breath help you get there. And then I'm going to take you into an expansive experience, an expansive state of being. So we're going to look for the feeling of expansion. Yes. Hey, thanks for jumping on here, you guys. I'm so sorry that we've had technical problems. Zoom sent out this weird thing that said you needed a password. And I was like, I had to go figure out what the password was. And I've never had that happen before. So that was weird. Okay. And we've been doing these classes for like 3 years now. So it's kind of bizarre that that happened. So sorry about that. So let's talk a little bit about spiritual sovereignty versus victim mentality. I still want you to drop down into the center of your body. Those of you who are just now jumping on, continue to drop down deep into your body. This time we're going to look for the feeling of expansion from within. So allow your awareness from inside of you, deep down at the base of the spine, to spread out and to push out. Just like as if you stepped into the center of the sun and the sun stepped into the center of you. And now you just shine to the degree that you are filling up the room that you're in. Feel your energy fill up the room that you're in. Just feel that. Notice it. Pay attention to it. Notice how different you feel when you're inside your body, expanded out. when your essence, your energy, your light is touching the ceiling, the floor, the walls, the corners, every particle of the room is being filled with your light. Just notice that. Pay attention to it. What does that feel like to be inside, dropped down, expanded out? Maybe write down those adjectives on a piece of paper so that you can remember what this feels like. And just tell your body, remember this. So we're talking today about victim mentality versus spiritual sovereignty. And I think this is a fascinating subject to talk about. I think a lot of people who live in the victim mentality think, you know, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do. I don't have any power. I can't change the way my life is. I can't change how I am. I can't change my external circumstances. And don't think for a minute that anything in your life is ever going to change, or in your environment is ever going to change if your environment, your external world, is controlling how you feel within your internal world. If you're allowing anything outside of you to control what's going on inside of you, you will always be the victim. So if there's somebody that has hurt your feelings or upset you or bothered you in any way, for you to say, yeah, but they made me feel this certain way, they're upsetting me, that is victim mentality. And so what happens is it puts you into a state of what we call cause. It puts you at cause. It puts you at the root cause of what's creating the suffering in your life and in your body and in your bank account and in your relationships. So when you are at cause, then you cannot change your circumstances. You will always remain a victim when you are at cause. Sorry, I got distracted because people are still jumping on. So what I want to talk about is to help you get into a state of not being always at cause, so that you're always a victim to your environment, but moving you out of cause and into creation. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is what are some of the things that block you from moving into a state of creation and that keep you at cause. And I came up with 4 things. There are 4 major blocks. I'm sure there's a bunch of others, so don't email me and say you missed one, because I'm sure there's a lot, but I came up with 4 main ones that I wanted to focus on today in our discussion today. These are the 4 main energy blocks that keep you from moving into creation, because that is what we're all about this year. In this year's classes, we have a theme for the year 2022, and it is all about manifesting miracles and healing the past. So if you want to create something better in your life, you want to create something awesome and amazing, whether it be good health or a full bank account or your needs met or whatever it is for you. Everybody's different. We're all in a different place, but whatever is most important to you, whether it be healthy relationships or spiritual awakening, what is blocking you from that? Today, we're going to talk about the 4 big ones that came to my attention this morning. And the first one is neediness. The energy of neediness will keep you in that victim mentality. You'll never be able to transcend or overcome victimization or victimhood if you're in a state of neediness. And neediness is rooted in fear. It's rooted in the energy of, I got to cling to something because I don't want to lose something. So I'm afraid that I'm going to lose something. So therefore I have to hold on and I have to cling to it. Now, this thing that you think you're going to lose, that you think that you're afraid of losing, maybe, the tighter you cling, the more you will push it away. You'll actually lose it, that which you cling to. And that's going to be that's going to be thing number 2. But I just want you to be aware of clingy energy goes against creation energy. It actually blocks creation energy. So clinging to someone or something is not healthy, it actually violates laws of the universe. So the laws of the universe are the law of free will. That's a major, probably the center point law of this universe that we live in. Is we live in a universe that is founded in the principle or the law of free will. And so if you violate that law, then you step out of alignment with other laws, which include the law of creation. So if you're in clingy energy, you're trying super hard to do all the right things, you're going above and beyond to be or do or say the right things in order to make something, make someone love you, or make something happen, or cling to something that you don't want to lose. But the problem with that is that that energy will create a disconnect from that which you're striving to cling to. And so it'll feel out of alignment and misjointed because you're violating laws of free will. Okay, so the remedy then is to let go. That which you cling to in this mortal dimension isn't healthy. It's not healthy to cling. The remedy is to let go and align with your own true power. You're not going to be more powerful by having that person or that object or that thing to complete you. Nothing outside of you will ever complete you. So the remedy for clinginess is letting go so that you can go into creation, so that you can do and be and have exactly what you were designed to do and be and have, so that it can flow to you freely without you blocking it. Okay, so block number 2 kind of falls in alignment with neediness energy. But it is a little bit different. There's a bit of a spin to it, and it's pushy. Wherever you step into pushiness, you're seeking for control. You're seeking for power. You're seeking to project or push or manipulate the way that you think life should be. You're seeking to project that onto the world so that you can make something happen the way you think it's supposed to happen. I think this is rooted in fear as well, and it disconnects you from your true power. So trying to make something happen, or trying to create the life that you think should happen rather than allowing. So that's interesting, because that's the remedy, is to allow. So the remedy for neediness was to let go. The remedy for pushiness is to allow. Again, to reiterate the point that I made earlier with neediness, when you seek to control something, you seek to cling to something, and you want to control it and make it be what you think it should be, then you will push it away from you. That which you seek to control, you will lose. That is a law. Because it's not, neediness and pushiness and seeking to control is out of alignment with universal spiritual laws. And so you will actually lose the thing that you think that you want the most. So the remedy is to allow. Go into the stillness of your own higher self and allow things to happen. It doesn't mean that you don't have any responses to things. It doesn't mean that you just allow life to run over you. It means that you allow life to play out, but your responses aren't based in the need to control or the need to fix or the need to cling. Your responses are based in intuition and love and seeking the highest will for you. So the creator of all that is has a highest will for you. You created that will for yourself as a soul, as an infinite eternal soul. So your highest will is God's will. It's the same thing. You created it. So when you learn to allow and you learn to let go and you learn to surrender, a lot of people think of those words as being weak, that you have no power in that, but the opposite is actually true. When you learn to allow, let go, and surrender, and then act in alignment with intuition and your highest will, then you're in a place of pure power. then you're in a place of creation energy. And you will actually, you won't be able to push away that which needs to and wants to come to you, which is your divine birthright. All the things that you think that you want to have, be, do, and give, those things will come to you. The universe can't not support you, but you can block the way that the universe wants to support you. You can definitely throw out blockages, and these are them. So, when you learn how to respond to your circumstances by allowing and surrendering and letting go, what ends up happening is you'll respond based on intuition instead of based on fear. What happens in your body? Can you guys give me some responses? You can either type it into the chat or speak it out, unmute your mics if you want to, but what happens in your body when you go into a state of fear and clinging or needing? What happens to you inside of you? If you're aware and you can remember or recall situations where you've been in a state of fear that you're going to lose something, what does that feel like in your body? Can you give me the biological responses?
I feel pressure and I can't breathe, and it's stressful.
Can't breathe. It's stressful. Your body tightens. Someone put panic. Yeah. Your gut tightens. Tension and sick to my stomach. Good. Shortness of breath, tight. Mind hurts. Good. Thanks. Keep going. Keep writing these things down. Become very keenly aware, because when you go into fear energy, your body constricts. The universe then around you will constrict, and it will actually push away that which you desire the most. Anybody else? Someone says hopelessness. Yeah. Yeah. And take that. So Kaylee, take that even a step further. What does hopelessness feel like in your body? Do you get short of breath? Do you have a hard time moving? Hopelessness, sad. Yes. So those are feelings for sure. What does that feel like in your body? Tension, sadness, heaviness. Right. Good job. So what do you feel in your body, and where do you feel that? So you could even identify, I feel heavy on the heart, or I feel tight in my shoulders, or I feel hot in my face. When you feel those deep levels of fear and the need to control and the need to cling and the need to be pushy, all of those things, notice. Yeah, good, good. So Kaylee says heavy. Yeah, notice where is that heaviness? Is it heavy in your legs and hips? Is it heavy in your gut? Is it heavy in your throat? Do you feel like someone's strangling you? She says chest, so in the heart area. Good, let's move on to the next two blockages then. So the next two would be, the next logical one is fear, right? So we talked about how neediness and pushiness is rooted in fear. So let's talk about fear, because it too is a major, major blockage to manifestation. It'll block your spiritual gifts. It will block your identity. It'll block your ability to connect with other people. It'll block your ability to connect with yourself. So fear is also rooted in that lack mentality. I'm not enough. There isn't enough. Unknown caller. Sorry, my phone just rang. So fear is rooted in lack. Usually people go into fear because they feel like they're going to lose something, or there's something major important to them that they could lose, and that's scary, right? And people who are in a state of fear always behave badly. They get controlling, they get manipulative, they get clamped down, all the things that you guys described. Their bodies go into tension, tightness, which can cause high blood pressure. It can cause your organs and systems to start shutting down because they're not getting enough flow. There's not enough flow of oxygen, blood, nutrients, fluid. So flow stops happening in your body. We need flow in order to be healthy. We need flow in order to be alive. One of the signs of life is the flow of oxygen through the breath, right? So we need to open up flow in order to let go of those things, let go of fear. Another thing that happens when a person is in a state of fear is they go into self-disapproval. So you lose that connection with your higher self. And therefore your connection to your greatest power, your greatest gifts. So people in fear behave badly because they're going into the energy of, I'm not enough, there's not enough, I'm about to lose something and I'm scared. And so you do stupid things like control other people and manipulate people or things or situations to get what you think you're about to lose. So the remedy, what do you think the remedy is? Type your ideas into the chat. What is the remedy to dissolving or diffusing fear? I want to hear from you guys. Trust, love, nice. You guys are super smart. Anything else? You can unmute if you want. Let's just talk about this for a minute. How do we diffuse fear is the question. What is the remedy for that? Love, yes. Action. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes, taking action. Yeah. Do you want to expound on that, Jennifer? Because I think about skiing. I'm not a great skier and I'm always terrified to go sailing down the mountain at 100 miles an hour. But the more often that I do it and take action, the less fear I have about it. So go for it.
I think you just nailed it.
Yeah.
Like we're for, like so many times I hear people say, oh my gosh, I can't do the things that you do, or I couldn't, run a mile, or I couldn't run 100 miles, or I couldn't go kayaking, or I couldn't, whatever the thing. And it's most often because of fear. Yeah. But it's those taking those baby steps, and it's gaining the comfort in our ability and in taking those actions, like and it's also that learning process of like, okay, I can walk for a block. I'm confident now that I can walk a block. Okay, now can I run half a block? Okay, yes. And so it's that step-by-step progression, that action overcomes fear. So that was my thought.
I love that thought. That's so perfect and so profound. I always find in my life, for me, that fear is like this threshold. It's like this doorway or a corridor to something. And if I can just take, like you said, baby steps into it, face the fear, go into the fear, then I find that there's less fear. The more that I come through that threshold and that corridor, then there's less fear and more power, because now Absolutely. I can do the thing.
Right? It's learning that there really aren't monsters back there.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Anybody else? Somebody says letting go. Yeah, letting go is a big theme today with all of these blocks to manifesting. What if you have real fears? You put a bumblebee. Are you afraid of bees, Kathy? Yeah, well, yeah, fear is nothing but an illusion, right? So I see that Charisse wants to say something. Go ahead, Charisse, because I think you're going to answer this question.
I don't know if I'm going to answer the question, but I'm going to I have a comment about fear. I find when working with clients and even with myself, when I ask the question, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? And just keep asking that until you'll find the root of the fear. So it might not necessarily be what you think it is. Sometimes if you follow it, you're going to get somewhere to the root of the fear, and then you can actually work on that root, whatever it may be. So just keep asking, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? What's the worst thing that's going to happen if I get stung by a bee? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Just whatever it may be. I mean, if you're allergic to it, that's not going to be a good thing, but
But what's the worst thing that could happen?
You'll have an allergic reaction. We'll have to take you to the hospital.
Yeah, or you could die. right? Like, so, and
Or you could die.
or you could die, but death isn't scary. Death isn't even real. Death is not real. When you really gain an eternal perspective, and that was my remedy that I was going to give, is how do you diffuse fear? You gain an eternal, infinite perspective of who you are, where you're from, where are you going. We know somewhere inside of us, we are these divine, infinite beings of eternal light and truth and intelligence. And so that transcends this physical body. So when you lay this physical body down, there's more to you than just this bag of dirt and water and bones and cells. You are the light and the intelligence and the wisdom and the creation that shines through this bag of dirt and bones. So even if death was the worst thing that could happen to you in the moment, is that really the worst thing? Because death isn't even real. It's a corridor. Again, it's just another crossing through a threshold into another dimension. But you don't cease to exist.
Yeah, I noticed that my child, I figured this out. She's like an avatar. She remembers being 3 different people. And she knows what she used to do. She remembers being Al Capone, Femini, and some other person. And she's like, each person that she connects to tells her that her mission now is to learn respect. And she's 9 years old, so she knows a whole lot for a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So she remembers being these 3 people.
That's fascinating.
As Femini, she was murdered, the Hello Kitty murder, so she knows about that. But she had to go through that because she was Al Capone and she was a murderer then. It was like a transition. And then she's now this person now, she's Victoria. But she kind of pulls back from these 2 people. And even further back, she said she was like a mermaid type of being, even further back. And she can remember all that.
Yeah, that's remarkable to have that
So
kind of infinite intelligence still with you.
Yeah, and it's scary for her because she's new to this. And it kind of came when the turn of this year. At one point, she woke up and it was at nighttime when the year changed from 2021 to 2022. She's like, I had a dream, and I was this girl. She didn't say I was a girl. She said there was a girl who got murdered. It was a Hello Kitty murder. I'm like, who the heck is this person? I look it up. It's true. I'm like, okay then. I was like, that probably is you. And she was like, wait, you know what? That is me.
That's interesting. Well, and there's lots of possibilities too there with that. I mean, it could have been, oftentimes premortally, we witnessed things. We were a part of experiences that have taken place on the planet, but maybe not necessarily were those people or those beings, but we were there witnessing it, and as angelic beings or beings through the veil, right?
Right, but she actually knows it's her because even it's like she remembers the details. She had the nightmares for a little while about how it felt to be that person.
Yeah, that's
so
fascinating.
I had to bring her out of that, and she's still working on it right now.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got a comment here from Heather who says there are some steps. Whoops, I just lost the comment. Darn it. Hold on, let me see if I can get it back. There are some steps to make action work for you. Think about the result that you want and decide what thoughts and beliefs do you need to hold to get those results, then choose an action that aligns with that. Desired result, thought, belief, and action. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. So what my remedy was for diffusing fear is having an eternal perspective, an infinite perspective of you on an infinite eternal level. So if we know that who we are and what we are at the deepest levels of our being are beings of light and love and truth and wisdom, and we are infinite, then death isn't real. And when you know that death isn't real, it has no grip over you. There is no threat. There is no threat to an infinite being. I mean, what could possibly threaten infinity, right? If you know that you are everything, you have everything, nothing can be taken from you, you can't run out of time, and you cannot die. As this intelligence, right? The intelligence that shines through your physical body, which our bodies are temporary in the way that we see them now, our bodies are temporary, but there is an aspect of you that is not temporary at all, that is infinite and eternal and divine. And so what could possibly threaten that? There is no threat to the divine. There is no threat to the infinite. So if you can learn to create an identity for yourself out of that part of yourself and go within, then what could possibly threaten you? Death can't, because you realize death isn't real, it's just a corridor. Okay, so the last block that I was going to bring up is judgmental, being judgmental. And this block to manifesting miracles in your life and having spiritual sovereignty, this blockage is rooted in pride. It's also rooted in fear to some degree. I think all of these are rooted in fear. I think we can boil almost all of this down to fear, but judgment, being judgmental, is rooted in pride. And pride is anytime you compare something to something else, then there's an imbalance, because the something that you're comparing is either going to come out on top or it's going to come out on the bottom. Let's say you're comparing yourself to another person and you think you're better than them, then you come out on top. You just created this big gap between you and them because you're looking down on them, right? And you see yourself as separate or better. That's pride. Or let's say you're comparing yourself to another human and you come out on the bottom and you think they're better than you. They're richer, they're smarter, they're funnier. We usually do this one. They're funnier, they have a nicer home, I don't know, whatever. They're more popular, they're more this, they're more that. Whatever it is that you're comparing, you've just created this separation, and that's judgment. And it's founded in pride. And pride is separation. It's a separation from yourself. It's a separation from God. It's a separation from another person. And it's usually a separation from truth. All of the four main disconnects that are rooted in illness. And I have found too, because I'm one of them, as an empath, I've had to overcome a lot of pride, a lot of judgmental behavior. Empaths have a tendency to be judgmental. I don't know why that is, because maybe it's because we're just super inner focused on ourselves and worried about that. But separating yourself from another being or anything really is pride. It's rooted in pride. So the remedy for being judgmental and the remedy for pride is what? Go ahead and type those into the chat or unmute yourself and just share. Oh, I love your question, Kathy. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Explain how to deal with the physical response of fear. Yeah, we're going to talk about that right now, as soon as we get through judgmentalism. What is the remedy for being judgmental? How do you diffuse that energy in your body and in your system so that you can manifest miracles and be sovereign? Go ahead, Pammy.
Sorry. Well, for me, I'm finding all my humility situations is a real good way of, diffusing the pride, and you find out that you're not really any better than what you thought that person, where you thought you were. So humility is a big one for me.
Yeah, I think that's appropriately said. Humility is huge. I mean, I think that is the remedy for pride, is going into humility. Acceptance, connection, ask questions, and get the story. Oh, I love that. So yeah, we can diffuse judgmentalism by getting to know somebody, by connecting. creating a human to human connection with them. Someone says, Heather says, meekness. Meekness has been contrasted with humility as referring to behavior towards others, whereas humility refers to an attitude towards oneself. Meekness meaning restraining one's power so as to allow room for others. Humility is how we perceive ourselves, and meekness is how we portray ourselves to others. It is how we interact with other human beings on the planet. Meekness is more than self-restraint. It is the presentation of self in a posture of kindness, gentleness, certitude, reflecting strength, sincerity, healthy self-esteem, and self-control. Wow. You know what? I'm gonna put these into the handout.
Yeah. That was a good one. Thank you for whoever said that.
Sorry, we've got people trying to get in. The passcode is in the Greater Life, Greater Impact, and it's also underneath the post on my Facebook. So if you go to the comments section, they can get in by getting that passcode. All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'll put this into the handout, and we will actually post this in the Facebook group so that you guys have access to it. I'm sorry that people couldn't get in because of the password. So one of the things that I had written down, we've got one more. Kathleen says, be willing to face our own judgments of self, typically a projection. Yeah, that was what I was going to share, is being willing to look at your own inner self. I think that the remedy for judgment is connection. It's connecting to other humans, just like what Heather says. She says, it's not my original thoughts. I picked that up along the way of my development, and it resonated so strongly. Yeah. Yeah. And we do need to learn how to overcome our judgmentalism, because it prevents you from creationism. It prevents you from oneness. It prevents you from connecting human to human. It also prevents you from connecting to yourself and also to God. I put the remedy is connection, forgiveness, love, and acceptance. I think somebody else had also mentioned that, but it's wanting for others what you want for yourself. Not necessarily projecting that onto others, but wanting love and happiness and joy, those kinds of things for others in the same way that you want it for yourself. So I think it's also seeing the greatness in other people as a mirror and a reflection of the greatness that's in you. Who was it that said self-confidence? I think that was you, Heather, where you talked about standing in your own sovereignty with self-esteem and self-control, but also reflecting strength and gentleness and kindness, and meeting people where they are, right? Being willing to meet them where they are, being willing to forgive, being willing to be humble. I have found in my own experience, I've been married for 34 years now, and one of the things that my husband and I have been learning recently is about charity, the highest levels of love. And the corridor, the gateway to charity is humility. And I learned that one day when we were in a big, crappy argument. We were disagreeing with each other very strongly. Let's just say it that way. And I didn't know how, like, he gets really intense and I just go quiet in our interactions when we get that way, when we start disconnecting from each other. And so in his intensity, I got really quiet, and I went within and I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And what I got was just bow your head and say, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. And so even though I disagreed with some things, I said, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. So I was looking for common ground, got myself into a humble place, and immediately it opened up the whole situation to forgiveness and love and kindness and compassion. And it was a gateway, it was a corridor. Not that I was the only one being humble in that situation. We both had to come to that, but It was a really great learning experience that humility is the gateway to charity in your relationships. If you really want relationships filled with the highest levels of love and joy and bliss, then charity is the way. And the gateway to that is humility. Gosh, we got tons and tons of really great comments here. Be willing to face your own judgments of self, typically a projection. Yes, thanks, Kathy. Appreciate that. Heather says, oh, already read that. Edith says, my mom used to tell me that I have to compare with someone better than me. I have to compare with someone better than me. I would love to hear you expound on that, because I want to know more about what you mean by that. Heather says, forgiveness is huge. Thank you for adding that here. It is resonating as the key ingredient to the remedy of judgment. Judgmentalness, yes. Michelle says, I need to let go of the story I tell myself about another person's behavior or choices. My story about the situation is often incorrect. I'm often not judging correctly. Yeah, that's usually we judge other people based on our own insecurities, based on our own fears, based on our own lack and neediness and clinginess. And so when we can start seeing the greatness in others, then they in turn will reflect that greatness back to us, and it'll help boost our self-esteem. I mean, that's really the key to self-esteem if you want it and need it. I love our story of judgment and connection. Hey, do you want to share it, Jennifer? I love our story too. In fact, I think a couple of times ago when we were in this class, I was sharing that story of what happened and how I judged. I judged based on my own fear, and I think it was based on it was a lack of understanding. It was a lack of not knowing enough, right? Not having enough information. And I'm going to let you share from your perspective, because I already shared that story from my perspective, and it's a beautiful story. I love it.
Oh, I don't know that I want to take your time in this class, but
No, do.
It's just something that I think about often. So those of you who don't, I'm like, how do you tell it in a nutshell?
I don't know. I think about it
remember,
often. It changed my life. It really did.
It changed mine too. And I don't even remember how we met, how we became connected. I don't care, like, it doesn't matter. Because I found a sister through the situation.
Right.
But Janet and I had decided that we were going to do, I don't know if she was interviewing me or I was interviewing her, and she found out that I was gay, and then was having second thoughts as to whether or not she could actually interview me, is the way that I'm remembering it.
Yeah.
And whether or not that would be good on her platform, what judgments it would bring to her, her work and herself. And I loved, we just started a conversation between each other that I remember. It's been like 3 years.
Yeah, I know. We got on a call is what happened, because I judged you and I was like, I'm having second thoughts now that I know where you're coming from. And you were like, with all due respect, you don't know where I'm coming from. You don't know anything about me. And I was like, she's totally right. She's totally right. We need to get on a call. So we jumped on a call. And
yeah, now see, I didn't remember like all the things, because it's like, it was what it was in the moment. You gave me a space to say, you might have some expansion of your own to experience, because I knew I did. And I just love that we were able to have this open, heartfelt, like really honest conversation of like, you don't know me. You're judging me off of 3 letters put together. Mm-hmm. And the history of what you think that is, or what religiously, because I know that was a part of it.
My own filter.
It was part of, it was my filter too. So I just love that we were able to have that conversation and really, really get to know each other on a spirit to spirit level, a heartfelt level.
Yeah, because we discovered there were kindred sisters, for heaven's sake.
Absolutely.
I mean, that would have never happened had that judgment been allowed to stay. Like, had I been in that prideful state and stayed in that situation, it would have we would have missed out on a tremendous opportunity to know each other, spirit to spirit, soul to soul.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So one thing that I practice, if you don't mind me sharing, is sometimes when I have, especially when I'm in a really good heart and head space, and I notice that I'm having a rub with somebody, I actually will, it takes me a little bit of time, but I'll go up to that person and I'm totally honest with them. I'm like, hey, there's something about you that's rubbing me wrong. So can we just have a conversation? And most often I learn the absolute amazingness of that person and what maybe that little prick is in me.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you guys to do the same. Just notice those judgments, ask the questions, be willing to
Wow.
connect. So
That is so bold. That is so bold, and I love
it's
it.
crazy sauce.
It is crazy sauce. Like, who does that? Who calls that out?
I know, but you really have to be in a space to be open to, and to recognize that you're probably going to get schooled, and to be open to what that schooling is and how it will change your life. Some of those people I'm still friends with, others were just distance acquaintances, but their stories changed my heart.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's that humility piece that we're talking about. You just demonstrated right there. So can we just
So
go
thanks
with
for
that?
letting me share.
Ah,
I love
thank you for sharing. I love your soul so much. Like, you have no idea. Anyway, thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate that. And I do think our story is so wonderfully amazing that what a tremendous loss it would have been had pride and judgment been allowed to run amok. So yeah, it's such a great lesson. That experience of getting to know you better, Jennifer. And we don't talk every day. We don't talk a lot, but I see you on Facebook every once in a while, and I just love you tremendously. And that's how it is, when you get to know just about anybody. If you really take the time to just get into their heart and get into their soul, you can't not love another human. Yeah. And that's how it's done, is letting go of those filters and those barriers. So we've got 6 minutes, because I have to jump on a call after this class. So we've got 6 minutes. I want you to kind of get into your bodies. Everybody take a few minutes to just kind of breathe and soften, go within, let go of any tension. Try to relax your shoulders and your face. Go back into that expansion that I took you guys through, where you felt as if your energy was being pushed out and you were shining out into the world. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions. All I want you to do is ponder and reflect on your own. We're not going to have time to go deep into all of these, but the first question I'm going to ask you is, what are you clinging to? What filters have you placed over yourself that you can't let go of? What are you clinging to? That's the first question. So maybe you could write down the question, and then later just take some time to ponder and reflect on this. So what are you clinging to? Second question is, what are you trying to control? And maybe think about, what are the beliefs behind all of that? What are the filters that make you think you need to control the universe? Like, here I was, as Jennifer shared this story of how we connected, I was trying to control the environment, the atmosphere. I was trying to control what was being said or portrayed to my group, my following. I'm embarrassed and ashamed about that, but yet at the same time, there's just so much learning that came out of that experience. And so, what are you clinging to, whether it's beliefs or people or ideas or mentality? What are you trying to control? And I think about my situation. I was trying to control the environment of learning. That's not my job. I will put the questions up in the Greater Life, Greater Impact Facebook group. Yes, after this video loads, it'll just be in the Greater Life, Greater Impact group. And then I will put the handout in there too for you guys later. Third question, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And fourth question, what are you judging that you need to put some humility behind so that you can let go and diffuse judgment? I'm going to reiterate these one more time with their remedies beside them. So number one, what are you clinging to that you could let go of and be liberated and sovereign? That's number one. What are you clinging to that you could let go of? Number two, what are you trying to control that you could maybe allow? What would happen if you just allowed? Number three, what are you afraid of that you maybe need a different perspective? So in the situation with Jennifer and myself, I needed a different perspective because I was clinging to an old paradigm, an old perspective. I had beliefs about that and fears about it, and like all of it, all of this. I'm not enough, or I'm afraid that something will happen, right? So I had to learn to allow, I had to learn to let go of my judgments and my beliefs and my fears. And when I did, it opened up this wonderful, beautiful corridor for friendship, eternal friendship. I mean, Jennifer and I are kindred sisters. I know that will be forever. And it has been for probably eons. Who knows how many lifetimes we've had friendship before. Oh yeah, I forgot that you guys know each other. That's awesome. The last one, what or who are you judging? And how is this an opportunity for you to step into humility so that you can see something in a different light or in a different way? And are you willing to see something in a different light or in a different way? Are you willing to meet the situation where it is at, or meet the person where they are at, and just allow and love instead of having judgment and fear? Okay. Well, that is it for class today. I'm going to leave you guys with that note. You have homework to go do that, finish that assignment, and see where in your life you can let go, where in your life you can allow, where in your life you can get an eternal perspective of yourself, and where in your life you can be more humble so that you can open up the corridor of creation in your life. I love you guys. Thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you for engaging in this conversation. It was wonderful. And hopefully next week we'll have more participation and more participants, because we will have figured out the password problem. So sorry if you couldn't get in, but I will make the replay available to everybody in the Greater Life, Greater Impact group. All right, talk to you later. Mwah. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.